Hey guys, welcome back and happy Saturday. All right, guys. I was about to say we're going into the weekend, but we're not going into the weekend. The weekend is here. Wow. I need to get into it before it's over. All right, guys. Well, we're back to talk about the Real Housewives of New York because Luann de Lesseps and a few other, I guess technically we can say former cast members of the Real Housewives of New York are chiming in on Bethenny Frankel over her new Housewives podcast because she's starting this podcast where she's going to rewatch old episodes and commentate on them. And she signed a deal with iHeartRadio, so she's doing it, but of course, they have some opinions on this. And I don't know if I necessarily agree with Luann. She did an interview with Danny Pellegrino, who is absolutely incredible at what he does. I love Danny Pellegrino, but we're going to get into it. So before we do, if you guys haven't already, go ahead, smash that like button. If you're not subscribed, get subscribed. Don't forget to hit that notification bell. And also don't forget, we have our members only live on Monday, which is Let's Whine About It. And then we just dropped a new podcast episode yesterday with Emily D. Baker. So go to the description of this video, check that out, and let us know what you think. With that, let's jump right in.
It's time for all your binge-worthy pop culture news. Welcome to Up and Adam.
All right, guys, so it looks like Luann de Lesseps sat down with Danny Pellegrino and talked to him on his podcast, Everything Iconic, and she took a shot at Bethenny Frankel. Okay. Bethenny Frankel is launching this new podcast, and it's about rewatching and commentating on old episodes of Housewives, which we just saw Kristen Cavallari do this. She's doing it on Dear Media. We've seen this before, but now Bethenny's doing it, and it's kind of interesting. I want to listen to it, but I was curious to see what her cast members would say. Now, after appearing on Friday's episode of Everything Iconic, Luann de Lesseps agreed with host Danny Pellegrino that Bethenny Frankel has spent the majority of her years away from the Real Housewives of New York shitting on the show. Right, and if she shits on the show, then that means she's going to shit on us on her little podcast about the Housewives. This is the part that I don't know. I'm kind of indifferent about when she says this. It's pretty sad and pathetic that she has to resort to Housewives because all of her failed pivots since the Housewives. Bethenny Frankel tried everything to separate herself from the series that she quit for good in 2019, but that hasn't seemed to work. Now, she's calling it a pretty desperate scenario. For me, I'm thinking in my head, she sold the company for over $100 million. A piece of her company. On top of that, she has the Skinny Girl brand. She's been on QVC. She's been on the Home Shopping Network. She has a successful podcast. She flips homes, like multi-million dollar homes. She has a huge portfolio. So when she's saying that she's failed at everything she's tried to do since she's tried to pivot, I'm like, she had a failed talk show, and she had that failed Big Shot with Bethenny or whatever it was called, where she was hiring somebody new. Those two shows failed, but there are a lot of shows that fail. So I mean, you have to try something to see if it's going to work. And sometimes when it doesn't work, it'll fail. And Luann, I guess, yes, she had a successful cabaret, but Luann's show with Sonya's coming out, which is sort of like a rendition of The Simple Life. And we haven't seen if that's going to fail or succeed yet because it hasn't come out yet. So be careful, Luann. I would say be careful. Now, apparently, alongside Luann de Lesseps, Frankel helped launch the Real Housewives of New York back in 2008, and fans watched, and people loved her. People hated when she left the show. When she left the show, she got married. She went through this long, bitter divorce. They were trying to figure out what the settlement funds and all of that were. And then she came back, and she was just very sharp-tongued and like ready to go. You have something to say? I'm going to rip your mouth open or rip your face open. And then somebody like Luann, who's getting arrested and she's dealing with her sobriety journey, obviously she was not a formidable opponent for Bethenny because Bethenny was just like quick. And I could see that. I mean, not even Ramona. Nobody on the cast was a formidable opponent for Bethenny Frankel. Now, since then, Bethenny Frankel has been vocal about her criticism over the Housewives shows, tweeting as recently as last year that the concept of the franchise has devolved. She also indirectly called out Bravo for capitalizing on women's weaknesses. Ironically, her new podcast, she already hosts iHeart's Just Be with Bethenny Frankel, is titled Rewives. That's dropping November 14th, and the show will explore real-life issues, including family fame, finances, and friendship through the lens of the Housewives series. She's saying that Bethenny Frankel is saying the idea actually came from her fiance, Paul Burnham, and he's the guy who came up with Cameo. He said, "You're the Tom Brady of Housewives, so you should be breaking down the game." Bravo's going to love it too because it's going to make people go back and watch the episodes. So she's looking at this from a total business standpoint, but I think why the other housewives are pretty nervous about it, I guess I would say, is because, like she said, if you're shitting on the show, you're probably going to shit on us. And Bethenny has been pretty vocal too lately because she's been doing these like skincare, I guess she's been, what is it called? Like reviews. She's been talking about how like this doesn't make sense. You're paying too much for this. This product is shit. So yeah, she definitely doesn't hold back. And iHeartRadio wouldn't be paying her the big bucks if she did. She said, "You can't forget where you came from, so I always reference Housewives. I mean, it led to such tremendous success for me. This is where it started for me, and I don't want to be there in the same way that I was. But it's such a larger-than-life concept that you can't help but indulge in it." So she wants to dive deeper. Now, I saw on Instagram where Carol Radziwill also commented on this, and she said, "Oh, Lordy, how original." But she did build her brand by trashing and mocking women, specifically the housewives, and Bethenny always returns to what she does best. I mean, right out of the gate, she trash talks the other housewives podcast. LOL, good luck to her. Some things will never change. These women are not happy about this. Now, Ramona Singer is also not happy about something, but I don't think it has anything to do with her Bethenny's podcast. It's more so about the new cast. She said, "I have no idea about the new cast. I don't even know who they are yet. I love Bravo. I just hope they are as good as Luann, Sonia, and I were, just as good as the original cast." She also said that she doesn't want anyone to copy her. She doesn't want anyone to try to mimic her, copy her personality, try to take on Ramona's persona and make themselves like a younger version, a fresher version, and go on our TV screens and be like, "I'm the Ramona 2.0." She doesn't want that. She said that would be the worst thing to do. Worst thing in the world to do. People will know that you're faking it. On reality TV, if you're watching our moves, just be yourself. So I'm not giving them any advice. I don't even know them. She's like, "I'm not a consultant. You can hire me as a consultant. Hire me as a consultant, and then I will show you exactly what you can do so you can be an icon like me." Now, they asked her, "Would you ever make a cameo?" And she said, "I don't know about making a cameo. I have a great life and I'm enjoying it. But one sound advice that I would give is to be yourself." So she's still being nice about it. But I want to hear what your guys' thoughts are, because the housewives, former housewives, are ripping Bethenny Frankel apart for her Rewives podcast on iHeartRadio that comes out November 14th. Obviously, she does not give a shit, which we know that by now. And they seem like they're pretty upset about it, but I think they're upset because they have no idea what she's going to say about them along the way, which I could see that. Bethenny Frankel's unpredictable. So go ahead, comment below. What do you think about Ramona chiming in on the new cast and the former cast chiming in on Bethenny's new podcast? And don't forget that we just put out a new episode of Hot Messy Podcast yesterday with Emily D. Baker. And of course, we'll be back on Monday for our lives, Hot Messy Topics, and our members only Let's Whine About It. It's going to be a good weekend. In the meantime, go enjoy some sun, some family time, friend time, and we'll see you next time. Bye, guys. Love you.